Thank you so much for joining us, Nick Fanelli. You are the CEO of Shippingwise. What a pleasure just to have you to share with us all your expertise in the logistics space, and just give us your insight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me. Definitely excited to chat about shipping and everything that's on everyone's minds at the moment.
Absolutely. Let's dive straight into it. Tell us more a little bit about Shippingwise. I believe it is a new startup. You just launched the website. What are the customers' main challenge that they're battling with that you found starting with Shippingwise?
Yeah, and so a little background. So Shippingwise, we're a unique, I should say, boutique e-commerce logistics consultancy. So we work with shippers anywhere from kind of the small to medium-sized range, shipping between about 250 to about 25 million in shipping spend. We really work with them on a strategic basis. So we empower them with e-commerce logistics expertise and solutions that improve margin, but also revenue. So we also very much focus on the revenue side of things. E-commerce logistics is not kind of the traditional back office logistics function that it has been in, days past. It's a very big driver for e-commerce shippers. And sometimes that's not really considered. So we want to make sure that that's front and center. But we offer, normally we operate on a strategic basis. So we come in as almost a fractional logistics team, providing those easy wins and then setting up processes, BAU, and technology to make sure that the team can be sustainable and really mean and lean moving forward. I started Shippingwise from my own experience, joining logistics, really joining as a logistics owner for kind of mid-stage startups, and realizing that there was just a tremendous amount of opportunity in the first 6 to 12 months. And then after that, it kind of things settle down, I suppose. So again, that's what we want to do. We want to help these shippers kind of translate what they haven't uncovered into real benefits and then leave them in a better place than we started.
Yeah. What would you summarize the climate of this shipping industry at the moment, but also in the last year or so? I mean, there's been big news coming out of Convoy, that closed down, that freight startup, and they've been saying that there's been what they call a freight recession. Would you agree with something like that? Are you concerned? I'm sorry, I'm jumping the queue here, but it's such a big story that just developed in the last 24 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we see in all different modes of transport is that there was a tremendous amount of demand during COVID. And then in the past year or so, obviously with interest rates going up, we're really seeing that demand flatten and now drop quite a bit. So it depends how the companies have handled that growth. The ones who maybe overstretch themselves thinking that COVID demand would last forever, those are the ones that are in the worst position. The companies that have, maybe had seen this in the past, handled it with a little bit more finesse, I suppose. They're weathering the storm, but what we're seeing with, at least in the parcel space, is carriers are very hungry for volume. They've built these heavy or large networks that really needs delivery density, and right now it's just not in the market. So it's great for shippers because they can get great rates, but I think it also underlines the importance of diversification. These really big companies are going out of business, and you don't want to be left without any sort of options to deliver your packages.
Yeah, absolutely. The role of e-commerce logistics, it plays as a revenue driver. Can you just explain to us a little bit more? I know you're very passionate about this subject. Tell us more.
Yeah, so what I like to say is if you're looking to increase sales and margin, look at your e-commerce logistics function. It's a little play on words, but it's really, I think it's really, really important. A good way to really understand the importance of e-commerce logistics as a revenue driver is through the customer experience. I think one thing that is really important for brands to understand, especially e-commerce brands, is that the delivery is the first time a shipper experiences their brand in the real world. So it's really critical that it's a very positive experience. And what does that mean? So most importantly, was it delivered on time and in full? That's the most important thing. A single bad experience means the customer is unlikely to return. There's a million metrics out there. One I like quoting is from Klarna. Around 80% of customers will not return after one bad delivery experience. That's going to affect customer LTV and revenue. So that's what I really focus on. And then the other side too, more upstream, it's not just after it's been purchased. Even to get that purchase and to get a customer to convert, shipping plays a huge obstacle and opportunity there. Another financial company, Stripe, they have a metric out there. I just met with them actually not too long ago. 85% of customers who use Stripe will abandon their cart due to a lack of delivery options. So again, it's getting that conversion as well as the retention piece.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to delve into that and not to neglect that part of the delivery process.
Yeah.
How can businesses prepare for potential disruptions in the supply chain, such as delays in shipping or inventory shortages that often occur during these peak holiday seasons? I mean, we're going now into Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I mean, everybody is talking about it. People need to start. I was reading a survey on Shopify saying that people are starting now in October to do their shopping. So customers are ready, they're hungry. How do you prepare for that?
Yeah, and I think really the way to approach peak season is not with a sense that peak season is a standalone time to run exercises to make sure that you're efficient and lean, right? It's a year-long process. It's something that really starts with, I think, forecast and planning. Weekly S&OP meetings are very, very valuable. Having all of, on the stakeholders on the demand side, as well as the supply side in a room, understanding, what are the demand expectations, and will supply be able to meet that? That's a great place to start. And again, that's year round. It should be, run weekly. And obviously peak season will be more of a focus as it comes up, but it's not something that you just start flexing. And it's not a muscle you start flexing as soon as peak season kind of starts being passed around in the news. But there's a lot of other things. So diversifying your supplier base is, again, really important. What you might find is that a specific, and I'm normally talking about parcel, but this relates to really any suppliers, any transportation providers, but you might find that one supplier is dropping the ball in a certain area or region. You want to be able to have other options, and just having necessarily contract is not enough. You need to have a way and a mechanism to switch volume between suppliers really quickly, and being able to measure that. So again, measuring your performance is going to be a key part. There's a million other things to look at. I mean, I don't know if we should jump into all of them. Otherwise, we'll be talking for well over the time allotted. But a few other important ones. It's also managing expectations with customers. Things are going to happen no matter if you have the best plan and strategy going into it. Things will happen, and so communicating to customers upfront of any real-time delays is important. Being proactive, not just saying, not waiting for the customer to reach out to you with a delay, but actually telling them ahead of the estimated delivery date if there's an issue. And then definitely showing at checkout when a product should arrive, not just saying 3 to 5 business days, saying it will arrive by December 20th, for example. That's really important, just those last order dates, or understanding those last delivery dates before a customer places an order.
And especially just, making sure that there's no expectation that some of the orders will arrive before Christmas. That is usually customer dissatisfaction, and it could damage your brand significantly. And we see this every year.
Yeah. And actually that brings up a really valuable point that I don't think a lot of shippers think about. This doesn't have much to do with delays, but not every customer needs their product by Christmas, right? You had customers before the Christmas season. Not everyone is shopping for Christmas. Understanding which customers do need it by Christmas and which don't help you prioritize. And if you need to, spend the extra money to deliver for those customers. rather than just assuming everyone needs it, because again, that's just not the case.
That is actually very important, that point that you made. I want to touch on something that's a bit controversial at the moment. There are some looming challenges for 2024, and we're getting there. We're already talking about next year. But regarding labor reform, we know in Australia, there is this gig economy and gig workers. The bill that's been introduced to Parliament is closing loopholes, and it could see your gig workers actually being treated the same way as employed workers. Now, Uber has already said that this means that they have to up their prices by 80%. A lot of people might lose their jobs. What do you see the future for 2024 with regards to these labor reforms?
So it's been a concern for, I think, like years, right? It's always been a kind of a topic. I'd say during COVID, a lot of these workers, frontline workers, were pushed quite hard. And I think a lot of the legislation kind of comes from that experience. Obviously, UPS, they just signed their Teamsters agreement. While it wasn't necessarily government driven, it was labor driven, and very much, the Teamsters got a pretty good deal out of it, not just in terms of their pay raises, but also their benefits, extra days off, things that you would expect, things like AC in trucks in California. That's like just a given to me, but these, it's being driven not just by kind of the government, but also by the labor pool. I think with a softer demand 2024, at least in the US, we probably won't see major changes. But I think from 2025 onwards, it's going to be definitely a concern. And then you also have the other carriers, like FedEx has definitely, stated that they're baking in pretty big increases next year for their delivery drivers. So again, it's being driven by both sides. But I would say regardless, it's very expensive, and it's only going to get more complicated. So really, these carriers and logistics providers, they need to be more efficient and reduce costs. They can use things like, obviously, technology, but they need to up delivery density. Again, that's why these companies are very hungry for volume. I think a really good example of trying to artificially increase delivery density to kind of deal with these labor shortages would be UPS reducing the number of days that they hit certain rural zip codes in the US. So maybe if they only deliver Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they consolidate more volume. Again, that's lower cost for them. It's kind of a bit of a cycle too. Lower cost for them means it's more attractive to customers, which should bring in more density. So it's something that is obviously on top of mind. And then again, leveraging technology to be better, reducing our cost per drop is going to be very important for these carriers.
Yeah, reducing your cost for drop, right? So how would you, I know that you've been vocal about this. This is my last question. How do you negotiate with carriers, to lower their prices? I mean, it's already determined and everything, but surely there should be a way that you can negotiate it. Any tools and tricks that you can give to our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, look, it starts with understanding your own data. Which isn't always easy to get. It can be difficult at times to understand your own data. The invoices aren't always in a very usable format. So, you're leveraging technology that helps organize that, leveraging consultants like Shippingwise that helps organize and call out or visualize your data is really important. But that's where you want to start. You want to understand your data. There's, what are your major cost drivers? Is delivery area surcharge to less urban zips a major cost driver? Then how do you reduce that? The thing is, if it's a major cost driver, it may also mean that you ship a lot to those zips, which gives you some leverage to negotiate. So I think, it really just starts with understanding your data. It's a complicated, annoying process, unfortunately, with the biggest carriers. And they know they have, it's a bit of an oligopoly. They have a lot of power. But if you don't understand your own data, then you're fighting with sticks and stones, I suppose.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Nick, for your time and your insight. It's always welcomed. And yeah, till next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Mia. Bye.